And it's connecting.
See you on the other side.
This is really cool. This is my first time using AirMeet.
Same.
It is pretty good.
Yeah,
Hello,
it's
everyone.
Hi, everyone.
If you hear us, please raise your hand or type your name and where you're from in the chat on your right. On your right. My left, your right. Can you hear us, guys? I don't think they can hear us.
Or you can also, and that's so cool, at the bottom of the screen, you have a little face of reaction, and you can just send us love.
Oh, that's lovely. Hello, everyone. So before we start off, before I introduce these lovely people here, we're going to play a little waterfall game. So you're going to write something in the chat window, but don't send it right away. I'm going to tell you when to send. So the question for today is the most amazing thing I ate this week. So type it, but also the speakers, type it in your little chat box. Don't send it right now. Is everybody ready?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna give you a few seconds to think about what all the awesome things that you have eaten.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Send. Sashimi, Basque cheesecake. Wow. I was talking about Basque cheesecake with someone the other day.
Massive cheese donkasu.
I can see a theme here. Mostly that we like carbs. Okay, guys. Welcome to Seoul Startup Second Community Spotlight. It's an event where we try to bring together various personalities in our community and beyond our community, help us connect with each other, kind of host a meetup, an opportunity to get together. Even though we cannot get together in person, we still can get together on this amazing platform. So please take advantage of it, especially after our little fireside chat. My name is Martha. I am the hustler behind Seoul Startups, the biggest international startup community here in Korea. And I'm joined today by some really amazing people and very inspiring people, Isabelle, Enzo, and Jiwon. And the amazing thing about them is that each of them represents a unique community, a unique organization that is supporting the startup and innovation ecosystem here in Korea. But forget me chatting out. I would like to start with them introducing themselves and their amazing organizations. And I'm going to start with the one who's, at least on my screen, who's next to me, Isabelle.
Hey. Yeah, I'm also next to you on my screen. Hi, everyone. So I'm Isabelle. For those who don't already know me, I'm the community coordinator for the French Tech Seoul. So just to give you maybe a brief introduction about myself and about our community. So I'm in Korea since like a year and a half. I've been working in a startup accelerator back in France. I came in Korea with a lot of network. I knew a lot of people, and I started to work again in the startup ecosystem. I actually know Marta since 2017 something. Super long.
Indeed.
And the community I'm leading right now is the French Tech Seoul. So it's a community that is meant to bridge French and Korean startup ecosystem. We're led by volunteers. We don't have a specific organization. Actually, one of our board members is here with us today. Hi, Enzo. Is going to explain a bit more what he's doing here in Korea. And basically, we gather French, Korean, but also a lot of different nationalities over how to do business in Korea, how to bridge to France, and a lot of cool stuff that we're doing. I think I'm going to have a lot of time to explain a bit more after that. So maybe the floor to Enzo?
Enzo.
Sure, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Enzo. I'm also from France. I came to Korea about a year ago now, and I'm the co-founder and head of community of the Korean branch of Wagon. So the Wagon is a coding school, coding bootcamp to learn all about web development in very intensive boot camps. So that lasts for 9 or 24 weeks. And besides that, we also have a very large community for which we offer a lot of events. So free coding workshops, free coding events, demo days, and a lot of different engaging events and workshops for our community on a weekly basis. But we'll talk about all that during the talk. But yeah, Jiwon?
Hi everyone, my name is Jiwon. I'm currently a volunteer board member at Girls in Tech Korea, and I'm responsible for social media marketing. So anytime you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, that's me posting. Founded in 2007, Girls in Tech is a community committed to leveling the playing field for women in STEM, helping tens of thousands of individuals every year to achieve their greatest professional potential. So it's been over 13 years now, and Girls in Tech grew into like 54 global chapters and 62,000 members in 33 countries, including Korea. And I'm really excited to be here with Marta, Isabelle, and Enzo.
I actually attended one of my first startup-related, entrepreneurship-related events was a Girls in Tech workshop with Facebook, or at least in Facebook offices. And yeah, it's awesome to have all of you here. It feels like we're getting back to like a family reunion pretty much. Before we move on, I just want to, I forgot to mention some of, I guess, logistical things that I should have at the beginning. So all of you that are tuned in right now, at the bottom of the screen, you, like Isabelle mentioned, there's the reaction button where you can send us different reactions to what we're saying. You can raise your hand if you have a question. You can also type your question in the questions, and these are on the right of your screen. So yeah, I don't know who's having such a droll right now, but thank you. So keep in mind that, and feel free to like drop us questions anytime. This is like a free discussion, and we also want to hear what you want to hear from us. Thank you all of you for briefly introducing yourselves. Oh my God, 2020. Is it ever going to be over? It probably has been a really challenging year for everybody here, and it's a lot. But I would like to start with asking you, how has this year impacted your community, and how, I mean, not you, only you, the organizers, but the people in your community, and how have you been helping them with those challenges? How about you, Jiwon? Like, how has it been for Girls in Tech?
I think it's the same for everyone, but 2020 has been such a weird year, right? Like no one expected to start the year with COVID, honestly. And I think like the first beginning of the year, like everyone was in a frenzy about it. And slowly but surely, like everyone, how do I say, adopted to the new normal. And I guess for Girls in Tech, because we were facing such an unprecedented phenomena, like we didn't really know what to expect. But from our side, and for our community members' side, and for our partners' side as well, I think one of the biggest impact on our community was kind of giving people like the sense of connection to their passions despite the lockdown and the lack of offline events. So it's really hard to give that sense of belonging and connection when like everyone's panicking and like feeling a little depressed and unsure about the future and everything. But I think what Girls in Tech organizers really tried their best was to host different events that still inspired women to how do you say, to lead, to innovate, to create, and to be passionate about their, how do you say, future. So some of the events that we've hosted online included a session with GitHub. We also did a workshop with Wagon, and we also had tremendous, like amazing women whom we called Wonder Womens of APAC. So basically, female entrepreneurs join us online and share their stories. So like these different kinds of events really instilled a spirit that we wanted to share with everyone in our community. And like despite all this craziness happening, like we still care about your growth, we still care about your passions, and we would love to hear more about your stories. I think that spirit building was core for this year's events and event planning.
Right. I mean, I've been following your events, and they're always class, regardless if it's online or offline. But I'm so glad that you were there for your members to kind of bring them value despite of the turmoils. How about you, Isabelle? What were the challenges that French Tech faced, and how did you overcome that? And how did your members deal with 2020?
So there is two sides to your question, but I mean, as a community, as you said, like we're a community that is pretty new in Korea. So like we started the last year, we were slowly trying to show people what we were doing in Korea, and I think we did that pretty well. And then 2020, we had this plan where we would grow and we would continue on more events and bringing more people into our community and get new members. And then COVID arrived. So we had just one event for the year and that's it. Whereas we usually do, we were set on a monthly event, physical event where we're starting to be pretty successful. And then we had to stop everything. And so as a community, it was a bit, as Jiwon said, we didn't know if it was just for 1 month or for 2 months, or if we had to prepare for the future, et cetera, et cetera. So we took it as we could. We started to move online. We started to do webinars with actually Seoul startup as well. Started to turn to other possibilities until like everyone kind of readapted and get more used to webinars and to being online. And we started, and we're like the whole year has been going slowly online, and then everyone is used to online, and then everyone is bored of offline, and then we can go for 1 or 2 months offline, everyone is yay, and then we have to go back online, and like the whole year has been really weird. But yeah, what we saw as well is that, especially because you know that we're between France and Korea, and the situation between France and Korea is super different. Like really right now in Korea, we're in third lockdown, so social distancing, because we have 300 cases. In France, it's like 40,000 cases a day. Like we have the same number of cases that they have of dead every day. So it's really not the same reality. And we saw a real, like while Korea was started to go down on the number of cases, France was still, yeah, it's fine, it's okay. And then Korea went down on the number of cases, and France started to panic. So we were on really different vibes, and we felt like France closing the borders. I mean, in terms of business, in terms of thinking about going over. So that was really weird in a sense that we felt like our Korean community and the French community was completely distancing by themselves. Because the priority were totally different from one side to the other. One was about surviving and one was about getting over. So that was really a different vibe. But and I think one of the questions later was one of the maybe opportunity that we felt or something. So I don't know if it's something that you want me to talk about now.
I'll ask you in a second because I have a question to Enzo. Because
Okay.
Enzo, when I remember distinctly when COVID was slowly picking up, but we still weren't treating it this seriously. You were in the middle of a boot camp. Your first book, or I think it was your first boot camp in Korea with your participants, and I even visited you guys. And then things got really serious really fast. So, how did you adapt to that?
So it was very tricky because before that we had never done any bootcamp remote. A big part of it is for us the interaction between the students, between the students and the teaching staff, and really trying to code it all together and making sense of the code all together. So when we had to approach the possibility of thinking about going remote, it was very, very tricky. At first, we just pushed the beginning of the bootcamp back a little bit. Like Isabelle said, we didn't really know how long it was going to last, how it was going to evolve. So we just said, okay, let's push back 2 weeks. Then we had to push back another 2 weeks. Then eventually we started remotely, and the situation in Korea evolved positively for a little bit. So we were able to go back on campus. And luckily, we were able to finish on campus as well and have a super successful demo day on campus, which really is almost impossible now because it was still quite the beginning. So we had a very good luck that we were able to do the demo day on campus. But the rest of it, unfortunately, like you remember, Marta, during the bootcamp, we usually invite our community, not only our students, for events during the bootcamp. So we invite different actors from the tech industry to come and share their experiences with not only our students, but also members of our community. And unfortunately, during the bootcamp, we couldn't do just regular events. We would do just bring in the speaker on campus and speak only for the students, and then have people online on Zoom. So that works. Obviously, like the content is still the same, but the networking and the overall vibe is really different. So that's one thing we had to adjust. And then overall, all the free events and free workshops that we run on a weekly basis, these at first we almost stopped completely because like we couldn't see really the point of just trying to do that remotely. And then we just do only webinars now. And it's been interesting because we see different types of people joining, and we see people who are not in Korea joining. So it's still interesting to have that grow in the community. But for the bootcamp itself, to answer your question, the real challenge was to still engage the community of our community members and our students, which were in two different places, and also dealing with the fact that we usually have teachers coming from all over the world that are part of the Wagon network, and unfortunately, like not only the virus hit, but the borders restrictions in Korea, as you know, are really, really tight.
Yeah.
So a lot of our teachers were actually remote, and that's something that we've really had to adapt for. But we've made it work, and luckily we're
still alive.
We're still alive. The demo day was a success, and the demo day that's coming up, so it's in 3 weeks,
December 11th. Yeah,
December 11th. If you want to mark
2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks, actually, absolutely. But hopefully it'll be offline. Most probably it'll be online.
Okay, before we move on, we have Taeyang here who wants to have a question. So, hi Taeyang, how are you? Okay.
Maybe they can download it, like after each session, they'll have like a couple of days to download it.
Oh,
and then,
I think Tay is not. Okay, never mind. Never mind, Tay. You're not off the stage, sorry. Poor Tay, probably working hard. So Isabelle, like we, 2020 hit us hard, but I think now we can pretty much assume that 2021 will require us to adjust and work differently as a startup/innovation community. So what do you think for you will be different than it was before COVID hit you? Like, what will you be doing different? What sort of practices will you be doing differently? for your community
Mm.
compared
So
to before?
what I wanted to say earlier is that yes, we like the limits and the opportunities of going online is that of course it's more difficult to mingle physically, but it's easier to mingle without any borders. So it means that all of the events that we do are now open to people that are not in Korea. And that is for us, especially in international community, a real chance that we need to try to get more. And this is why, like, we've been doing events with speakers from France, from other countries. We've had more and more members that are actually in France right now and not just in Korea, doing like cross events. Like, for example, 2 members with Le Wagon as well that did stuff. We worked with Kotra in Paris, and I see that Frederic is here connecting from France to attend this event. That would have not been possible. So that's one thing that we think that now our community is way more open to not just Seoul. So that's something that we want to really work on. And that means that we're not only open to, of course, France, but also all the other countries, because what I didn't explain about the French Tech Network is that we have French Tech communities in like more than 100 cities all over the world. And especially in the APAC region, we're pretty close to each other. And we really think right now that we can do more together. And one of the big event that we planned for, I don't know if you remember, Marta, but in 2019, we had a big Tech for Good forum. And like 250 people in DDP. That is something that is not going to happen anytime soon.
I don't think, but not even in 2021, probably. I don't want to spoil anyone's parade, but I'm not sure.
So this time, instead of doing something that is in Korea, we can do something that is online. And we can do something that allows us to have speakers from all over the world, that allows us to have participants from all over the world. And then it's up to us, and it thanks to like technologies like AirMeet, that is a cool platform, but also other online tools that helps us to have this not just webinars and people talking, but more networking and interaction. And it's up to us also to find those solutions. And I think like one of the big challenge for us next year and right now is to find the right tools and the right ways to engage more internationally with our community.
Yeah. That's a good point, and that brings me to a question I have for Jiwon, because we all have I think by now everyone here has experienced Zoom fatigue. Even today, one of my coworkers was like, "Oh my God, I hate online events," and yes, we do, and I would love to meet all of you offline and give everybody a hug, but it is what it is. So what do you do? What is your recipe for engaging your community in participating in those events, having them excited about it being online, despite of them being already fed up with being online? What do you suggest that we should do, and what should be done to keep people from being frustrated to being engaged and excited?
That's a really great question, Marta. I think that was one of our key questions at Girls in Tech too, because I think what we need to do is make it a really consistent experience, no matter where they're connecting or how do you say, engaging with us, right? So whether it be Facebook, whether it be YouTube, whether it be these Zoom meetings or Air Meets, like no matter where we're meeting them, like I think giving them a consistent experience and making it seamless was one of the key values that we tried to pursue this year. So one of the interesting, I think, sessions that we had was with GitHub. And the response was phenomenal because I think it just started with the question like, oh, GitHub is like, gaining a lot of, how do you say, attention. So why don't we have a session with them explaining what GitHub is about? And we had one of the largest registrations. And after the event, we had about 650 views on YouTube. And that was one of the few videos that we uploaded on YouTube after our online events. So I think based on that kind of experience, what we've realized is that there's this thirst for knowledge in our community. And that's why collaboration is such a big opportunity for communities like us, where like, because if everyone's feeling that kind of thirst and frustration and kind of yearning, like if we are able to collaborate and find opportunities and like kind of cater to the audience's demand, like, and make it seamless, I think they really appreciate it and really look forward to it. So I think that's one of the key insights that we gained from this year.
That's a really, really great point that I hope everybody was like taking notes of that. Enzo, is there a way for technology to replace that good old face-to-face networking and meetups? Have you discovered anything in your constant webinars and online sessions, anything that came close to that face-to-face meeting?
I don't want to be a bummer, but not really. So the way we do the webinars is that usually we do the workshops. So what we do when we're offline normally is that we have a class and that it's super interactive, and the teacher just takes any questions and takes the time to explain and goes around the computer of the person who's actually doing the workshop and explains it. So that's really, really straightforward. But the way we do it now that it's on webinars, we just do the whole lecture. And then we have that one part where we leave like 30 minutes, 40 minutes for the attendees to actually try the thing for themselves. And we have our dedicated Wagon platform on which they have all the instructions, and they can sign up on it for free and see exactly what the teacher was talking about, exactly all the instructions to recreate it. And the teacher actually sticks around and is here for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, as long as needed. But unfortunately, most of the time, as soon as the lecture is done, people are leaving.
Yeah.
There's no, whereas before people would take the time to really ask questions, stick around, try to understand even stuff that wasn't even mentioned during the webinar, or just really interact about the lecture itself or the rest. And now, even if we do a lot of it and actually try to do everything as seamlessly as possible, people just don't stick around. It's just but there is one thing, is that I feel now people are more comfortable with Zoom than they were like a year ago. Although there are a lot of people that are starting to be fed up of it, which is totally understandable, I feel like a lot more people are just more comfortable with it. The way I can see that is just, so I was mentioning our previous bootcamp with our remote teachers. And for the current bootcamp, we've had to do that for a couple of weeks as well. And straight up, it was just so much easier. Students were asking questions to the remote teacher just with so much more natural and ease than they would have 6 months ago. So I feel like it's really becoming just the norm. But in terms of meeting and networking, a lot of people just don't stick around. So it's my first time using AirMeet. I really hope people do stick around and talk with us afterwards.
We'll see, all you listeners, we'll see how good you are with sticking around after an event. But I totally get your point. I think like Zoom and online tools have kind of made us only attend the meeting, make it as concise and precise as possible, and kind of leave all the small talk and the chit chat out of the room. And in a sense, that's great. That's more efficient for the work. But on the other hand, it kind of dissolves there was a lot of creativity and potential for creativity in that little chitty chatting after all the events. I Actually, Enzo, I have a question for you because I think out of all of us, you're the newest in Korea.
Yeah.
What do you find is unique about the Korean startup/innovation community scene?
Well, unfortunately, I feel like I haven't seen enough of it because of this whole situation. But I've been around. I've seen the transition, the 2019-2020 transition, and in 2019, I loved seeing how international it was, regardless of what I had heard before coming, that it was difficult to collaborate with Koreans because a lot of them didn't have the English language. That's what I had heard before coming, and honestly, I feel like this is not true at all. I've met a lot of Korean entrepreneurs that really have a very open-minded approach to entrepreneurship. Sorry, so it's been a shame that I haven't been able to really experience the Korean startup scene so much as I would have, because even before, so now we've moved to our own offices, but even before we were based in a co-working space, and even then, like the co-working space, I was expecting people to just work everyone on their own, and it's not really like that. Like, people are open to meet with others. Demo days are very, very popular events here in Korea. And regardless of what they are for, I feel like in France, Isabelle, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I'm in France. When I hear of demo days, it's more to do with investors and bigger things. Whereas here you have the notion of demo day and communities getting together to showcase their progress for a wider variety of things, I would say.
Interesting. Isabelle, what would you like to see more or less on the startup community scene here?
That's a very good question. Well, of course, as a foreigner, you're always looking for more international sense, a bit more English. But at the same time, when I was in France, like most of our events were in French, so I don't really I can't really complain. You're in another country, so you kind of have to adapt as well. And just because we're foreigner, we're not going to say, hey, please speak English in your own like country. No, that doesn't work like that. But I also, back when I was the first time I came to Korea a few years ago versus now, I really sensed a change. And when I first came here, it was really closed ecosystem. When I was receiving Korean startup in France, they were not ready for what was happening in France in terms of activity, in terms of do on your own, do by yourself. If you need something, ask. Here, that's really less the case. At least it was less the case. I sense a less global mindset than was set more in France or in the UK or in Europe. But over the years that I came here, I sense that it changed. And I think that is something that has to do with a lot of us today as well. Also, the Korean government that kind of understood that, a lot of initiatives that were going on. And I think it's still not perfect, but it's opening up more. And there is this trend for more global, more integration. Still difficult, of course. It's a work in progress, but I think we're each of us doing our little part. And that's something that's great.
Awesome. Jiwon, what do you think our role as community organizers, community leaders, what is our role here in Korea? What should we be doing to make it better, I suppose?
It was so interesting for me to hear from Enzo and Isabelle because, I have a completely different perspective, right? Like an experience from you guys. So for me, like one of my first experiences with the like startup community was from like how do you say Google Campus and like Asananun Foundation and like Seoul startups and like like so for me like as a university student attending those sessions or even after graduating and just participating in those kind of sessions, what I've realized is there like Isabelle said, like I think there was a shift. Like I feel like there was some like stage in what I've experienced, even over the years. And for me, the key difference is that uh, my initial experience was more like informative. It was about me going to a place and getting information about certain like industries or subjects or like topics or um, like how do I say stuff like that. But then nowadays, I think communities are like from just how do you say just one time like experience to almost like a sort of culture, right? Like it's really a community where like if I were to go to Seoul Startups, for instance, tomorrow, I would expect these kind of people to come gather and to mingle and to enjoy. Whereas like if you were to come to like how do you say girls in tech events, you would expect a sort of like how do you say culture of girls in tech. So I think yeah, I think one of the key things I would love to focus more next year as well is definitely how to foster a unique culture within the community that the people identify with. So as soon as they walk into a chat room, for instance, like they just kind of recognize themselves in like in the forum. Like I don't know how to explain it properly, but I think like that's what I'm aspiring for as a marketer, and like I really want to like instill that when I'm like planning my marketing messages, right? I'm like I really want people to like read it and then be like, this is what I was looking for. Like this is where I belong. Like 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 and I think yeah, like I think that would be something great for all of the communities have their unique voices heard by the people that really identify with, right?
That what a beautiful way to wrap everything up. I have one last question for everyone before I let you all go and mingle and network, and that is, what are your plans for 2021? Can be your private plans, can you be your organization plans, and if you have any events that you want to give a shout out to the people here, this is your opportunity to do so. Oh, and also, before we do that, we actually have one. Philip wants to say something. Philip, here you go.
Hi guys, Philip Lee, and I own startup media in South Korea. And prior to making my own company, I was working at Oracle, Gartner, the big IT company, and one of the startups in United States, which is coming to the market. I think when I'm originally Korean, and I am Korean, and I lived in this country over more almost 40 years. But one thing I would like to tell is that Korea is trying to look like really open country, but it's really closed country in some perspective. You guys might feel that because I was living in Switzerland for a while when I was quite young. So I would like to tell that. So the community like this can be position themselves as a local platform. Of course, you guys are not making any money from here, but this will be some kind of the local, which is coming into South Korea at from job perspective, from as a personal, but the product perspective, which is the other startups which is coming into the South Korean market. And also, I am doing some kind of research for my clients outside in U.S. or European market, and I found out that about 15 to 20% of the startups in South Korea has willingness to go outside the market, but they are actually hiring the Korean people or Korean Americans or Korean Europeans, so they fail mostly. So that's the role that you guys can contribute.
And
And Yeah.
Philip, if I can tap into the last one, actually, we may be having a solution to that very soon. I cannot talk about it because it's still.
All right. So that was just my idea.
But
So okay.
No, but thank you so much, Philip, for those ideas. That's great, and we would love to talk to you later.
Yeah, sure. I think I took too much time, so sorry about that.
No.
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
want I just want the people here to quickly wrap up, and so we can
Sure. I think I took too much time. All right.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Sorry, Philip. But we'll talk to you in a second. I'll definitely catch you. So, guys, very shortly, 2021 plans for your organizations or yourselves. And if you have any events that you want to give a shout out to, this is your opportunity.
Yeah, maybe I can start. So we are gonna have an event on December 17th. And French Tech, so we decided that whether it's online or offline, or we do offline and then we switch to online, or we do hybrid format, anyhow, we're gonna have monthly events. So just stay tuned for anything that we can provide. And for next year, as I said, we announced and we're gonna do the Tech for Good Summit 2021 online. We're still working on it. Like a lot of stuff is like not complete, but it's definitely that we're gonna do something probably next spring. So stay tuned for that as well.
Awesome. Jiwon, what's for Girls in Tech?
I think we have really exciting events planned, but I don't think I'm allowed to share yet. But I just want to let everyone know
Follow them on Facebook, everyone.
Girls in Tech Korea. And yes, I think one of the messages that I love about Girls in Tech is like the phrase "as I am." So Girls in Tech is committed to building a diverse and inclusive tech workforce, and it's their goal to have everyone, not just women, but just every single person accepted and confident and valued in tech, just as they are. So I think our next year is going to be filled with events based around that value and based around that belief that everyone should belong and feel accepted for who they are.
Enzo?
Yes, so for us, still a lot of weekly webinars, a lot of weekly free workshops, coding workshops, introductions to different programming languages. Hopefully, we can go back to offline, but like Isabelle said, what we do usually is hybrid. We do a lot of hybrid format. We do a lot of whenever we can. Nowadays, we got so used to do it online that whenever we can do something offline, we still do it online as well. So in terms of upcoming events, so as I mentioned earlier, we have our demo day on the Friday 11th of December. So in 2 weeks and a half, I'll be sharing all the information on Seoul Startups very, very soon. I'm still deciding whether I'm doing it only online or hybrid. We'll see what the government says, but yeah, a lot of workshops, more boot camps in 2021, and hopefully a lot of fun networking in real life.
Awesome. Well, everyone, this is the end of the fireside chat, but this is not the end of the event. I'm going to end the session now, and all of our speakers here will sit at different tables. You can catch us there, talk to us, talk to everyone here. Philip, I definitely want to talk to you, so catch me if you can. And yeah, let's mingle, let's have fun, let's pretend that this is an offline event for a second. So thank you, all three of you, for joining me today. It was really awesome talking to you, and see you at the networking lounge.
Oh, but Marta, can I ask what
Yes, go ahead.
Can I ask what your Seoul Startups goals are or plans are for 2021?
Oh,
and by the way, I also want to do a quick shout out to Liz, who's our organizer at Girls in Tech. Hi, Liz.
Okay, so for Seoul Startups, we have, actually, that's a good question. We have a Hack to the Future hackathon that we're going to organize is going to be an offline event, and it's for students. So if you know any students, Korean or international here in Korea, send them our way. It's an amazing event. Winter in Gyeongju, beautiful. We are also planning what Philip kind of mentioned, program for Korean startups wanting to get international global talent to help them expand their operations abroad. But I cannot talk about it at the moment, but it will be announced soon-ish as well. All in all, Seoul startups will grow bigger, stronger. We will probably have more opportunities to organize better funded events down the line next year as well. So yeah, we're doing this for you.
And thank you for doing.
Okay, well, see you at the table. See you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.